What is a Hayward Healthy Home? It's based on one simple yet revolutionary idea. And that idea is continuous fresh air. A Hayward Healthy Home has continuous fresh air. Why is that revolutionary? Well, most homes, nearly all homes, have intermittent air. It's fresh when you open a window. It's fresh when you open the door. And the rest of the time, it leaks in through different parts of the house. It's not always moving. Continuous fresh air is always moving, rejuvenating the air in the home so that the air that you breathe is healthy. Air is like food. You need good air just like you need good food to be healthy. If you eat bad food, if you eat junk food, over time your body gets sick. So why do we care? Well, it turns out this is a fairly widespread problem. Nearly 1/3 of the US population is sensitive to bad indoor air. 2.9 people live on average in every home in America. So if 1 in 3 are sensitive, and there's 3 people in every house, and 46% of the houses have a problem, half the houses in America have somebody living in them who aren't feeling well from bad indoor air. How do unhealthy houses happen? Have you ever walked into what I call a soggy house? I know you know the smell. We've all walked into them. Not good. Well, how does it happen? Okay, houses suck. Well, what I mean by that is air rises. We're humans. We're warm. We heat. As air rises, it escapes out of the upper half of the house. And it pulls in air to replace it under suction, like a vacuum, in the lower half of the house, down where the dust, the dirt, the pollen, the particles all exist. Now that air is getting pulled in through the cracks in the walls, in through the crawl space, in through the walls itself, in through the insulation in the walls, the fiberglass insulation that we're not supposed to breathe. And with it comes dirt, mold, dust, moisture that settles in the cavities, and the cavities start to grow things. So this sucking effect is how houses become soggy. Well, what drives the suck? Well, we have bathroom fans, they suck. We have dryers, they suck. We have range hoods, and they suck more air. We have fireplaces with chimney flues, and air goes out of them, and when you turn on the fire, it sucks a bunch more air on the cold, wet, rainy day with the wet air outside in through the wall systems, causing soggy. So, the pillar of the Hayward Healthy Home of continuously sealed and insulated is to stop the sucking and start filling the house with continuous fresh air, because a Hayward Healthy Home is about continuous fresh air, not a sucking home. How can a custom home builder build a custom home if he doesn't understand the health criteria of the customer himself? The answer is you can't. To really build a custom home, you need to understand their health criteria, and then you can build a Hayward Healthy Home. So how would a builder do that? Well, it turns out it's not that hard. There are a couple of gating questions. How do you feel when you get behind a diesel bus? How do you feel when you walk through a garden center in the garden chemicals? How do you feel when you go in an old, musty building? If the answer is, I don't feel good to several of those, then you've got a general idea that your client is chemically sensitive or mold sensitive. To be more precise, though, there's even a better tool. It's called Keezy. Keezy was developed by Dr. Claudia Miller. It's a questionnaire, 60 questions. By going through and answering them, you are able to put a number to your chemical sensitivity. Thereby, the builder can then reflect with us and say, well, I need to use the following tools to build a house that is appropriate to my customer's health. What are the benefits of a Hayward Healthy Home? When a builder builds a Hayward Healthy Home, clients are healthy, it's more comfortable, it's not drafty, it's not cold, it's not full of pollen, it's not full of dust and dirt. It feels better. It lasts longer. When you're not introducing moisture and dampness to homes, the homes last longer. The last thing you want is a 30-year mortgage and a house that gets soggy in 15 years. This is not good. And finally, builders are being sued over water intrusion issues. They're being sued over indoor air quality issues. The rate and pace of those lawsuits is rising, and insurance companies don't cover them. So we are providing our builders a tool to protect themselves from that liability, improve their brand value, and help the families that live in those homes to be happier and healthier. And that's a wonderful thing. How does one build a Hayward Healthy Home? Again, it's based upon that simple idea, continuous fresh air. So what are the pillars? What are the principles of building a Hayward Healthy Home? It begins with number 1, an air management system. We need a system that's going to move air continuously throughout the house, filter the incoming air, and extract wet, stale air from the bathrooms, laundry room, and kitchen, and spit it outside of the house. And that is how we introduce good, clean air, through the system, through filtration, and we use the Zehnder system to do that. The second principle is properly sealed and insulated. Okay, so the air system's brought the good air in and taken the bad out. Now we want to prevent bad from coming in. So properly sealed means a continuous envelope all the way around the house with a membrane and air sealing tools so that bad air isn't leaking into the house. It also means pests can't get into the house because we want to seal from things that create unhealthy air. Now, insulated. Why is insulated important? Turns out where you have cold spots in houses, moisture accumulates. So the second law of thermodynamics says moisture goes from warm to cold. So wherever there are cold walls, cold spots behind the couch, cold rooms, cold closets, that's where the moisture's constantly going, and that's why those walls get black over time and look funny. We want to prevent that with a proper insulation envelope all the way around the house. And that insulation envelope prevents the cold spots and keeps moisture from accumulating that allows bad things to grow. The third principle, non-toxic materials. We don't want to build with toxic materials, and we don't want to bring toxic chemicals into the house that sit around the house and pollute the air that we breathe. Fourth principle, cleanable surfaces. We need surfaces throughout the house that can be cleaned. So question, is carpet a cleanable surface? No, because carpet fills with all kinds of things over time. In fact, when you remove an old carpet from a house, it usually weighs close to 160% of its original weight. And you don't want me to tell you what's in that carpet. What's within the Hayward toolbox that allows us to provide builders tools to build successful Hayward healthy homes? Air management system. Begins with Zehnder. Zehnder is a tremendous air management system. It introduces continuous fresh air throughout the living spaces, filtered, clean, fresh air, and extracts wet, old, stale air from the rest of the house, keeping the house fresh and clean, keeping the air comfortable, making the house comfortable. Pillar 2 is properly sealed and insulated. Within the Hayward Healthy Home Toolbox, we have many tools for this. You cannot build a properly sealed and insulated house with leaky, non-thermal windows. You need DP-rated windows, and we have many. We have Colby, we have Marvin, we have Unilux, we have Bromball, we have Fleetwood, all of which create a more insulated envelope, a more comfortable envelope, and a healthier envelope because you don't have cold, dripping, wet windows dripping, creating problems in the wall cavities. Okay, for the building envelope, we have many tools to seal the envelope. We have air sealing tools, and we have building wraps, and we have liquid applied wraps. Those are really important because we want to seal those wall cavities up so moist air doesn't get inside of them and things don't start growing inside the wall cavities that make us feel bad. And we have air sealing tools that are non-toxic. We have the Tyvek system with the 10-year warranty for labor and material. We have the Protector Wrap system. And then we have our best system, which is Prosoco, which is a liquid applied membrane that gives tremendous confidence that you've sealed the air and provided a good hygrothermal envelope. We get to use our knowledge here and talk about vapor open and vapor closed, sealed crawl spaces, sealed attics, the tools to do that, pest management tools, all of which we sell. Now, the third pillar is non-toxic materials. We have the EnviroSmart product guide of non-toxic materials, which is a whole list of the various products builders can use that don't emit toxins that, of course, make people who are chemically sensitive sick. These are good. And finally, cleanable surfaces. During construction, it's important to continue to keep surfaces clean and eliminate dust. And we have things like Festool that takes dust away at the source, and things like Ramboard that cover and keep surfaces clean. So that's the toolbox to build a Hayward healthy home. Then comes the big question. Well, how do I afford that? And the answer is twofold. First of all, as we communicate the values of Hayward Healthy Home to homeowners, they make choices to have a healthy home over certain other choices they might have made. Second, We have many tools in our toolbox to value engineer. Things like Fast Floor that reduce the cost of the floor system. We can now use those tools to effectively take cost out here and reallocate the money into the value system that creates a Hayward healthy home, thereby reducing our builder's liability, creating a more comfortable home, creating a more energy efficient home, and most importantly, creating a home in which the families are healthy. We are not alone in our efforts to provide healthy home solutions. Other national organizations like HUD and the National Center for Healthy Homes and the CDC are also working on principles and methods to provide healthy homes. The difference is, because of my own personal experience, I have a singular-minded passion not only to provide principles, but the tools to build healthy homes. I know the difference between living in a home that made me unhealthy, that made my family unhealthy, that exhausted me, that allowed me not to think clearly, and then moving and investing in a healthy space, and the vibrancy and lifeblood that returned to my family. I know what it's like to live in a healthy home, and Hayward's working on solutions that provide that for entry-level housing and custom homes, because everybody deserves continuous fresh air and a healthy home.